From the moment the first Archaeopteryx fossil was unearthed in 1861, the idea that birds descended from reptiles has fascinated science. But for decades, the exact path from a lumbering dinosaur to a soaring pigeon remained a ghost in the fossil record. Today, thanks to spectacular discoveries in China, Mongolia, and South America, we can finally trace the exact step-by-step transformation. This is not a story of a single magic moment, but a slow, methodical series of anatomical upgrades spanning over 150 million years. It begins with a group of small, two-legged carnivores called theropods, the same lineage that includes Tyrannosaurus rex. Somewhere in the late Triassic, a particular branch of these theropods started down a radical path. They shrank in size, lightened their skeletons, and began experimenting with the very structures that would eventually allow them to conquer the air. The first major step involved the skeleton itself. Early bird ancestors, like Colophysis, already walked on two legs, freeing their forelimbs for other tasks. But to become wings, those arms needed a drastic redesign. Over millions of years, the hand bones fused and elongated, the wrist joint became flexible enough to fold against the body, and the shoulder girdle evolved a new structure, the trioceal canal, that allowed for a powerful upstroke. Simultaneously, the tail, heavy and muscular in dinosaurs like Velociraptor, began to shrink into a short, bony piger style, the stump that would eventually anchor a fan of tail feathers. The clavicles, or collarbones, which are separate in most reptiles, grew together into a single wishbone, furcula, acting as a spring to store energy during flapping. These changes were not for flight initially, but they made the body lighter and more agile, perfect for scurrying up trees or pouncing on prey. The second, and most visually stunning step, was the evolution of feathers. For a long time, feathers were thought to be unique to birds, but fossils like Sinosauropteryx and Caudipteryx changed everything. They show that feathers appeared long before flight, likely for insulation or display. The earliest proto-feathers were simple, hollow filaments, much like mammalian hair. Over time, these filaments became branched, then branched again, forming a quill with a central shaft and a fluffy vein. In dinosaurs like Microraptor, we find the four-winged stage, long, stiff feathers on both the arms and the legs. These creatures couldn't flap to fly, but they could glide from tree to tree using their feathered limbs to steer. This gliding phase was the critical bridge. The more an animal used its feathered arms to control descent, the stronger and more asymmetrical those feathers became, evolving the aerodynamic profile necessary for powered flight. The third step involved a complete metabolic and respiratory overhaul. Birds have the most efficient lungs on Earth, with air flowing one way through a system of air sacs that even invade their hollow bones. Remarkably, we see the first hints of this system in dinosaurs like Majungasaurus and Allosaurus. By evolving a high metabolic rate, becoming warm-blooded, these small theropods could generate the immense energy required to flap wings continuously. The brain also changed shape. The cerebellum, which coordinates movement, expanded, and the optic lobes grew larger, enabling the swift, three-dimensional vision a flying animal needs. By the time we reach the Cretaceous period with fossils like Ichthyornis, the transformation is almost complete. The teeth are gone, replaced by a lightweight beak. The bones are almost entirely hollow. The sternum has grown a massive keel for flight muscle attachment, and the fingers have completely fused into a bony support for a sleek, feathered wing. Finally, the last step from dinosaur to modern bird was the refinement of flight efficiency. The group that survived the asteroid impact 66 million years ago were not the large toothed birds, but the small, toothless, ground-dwelling or tree-climbing avians. In the ensuing Paleogene period, they lost the long, bony tail entirely, improved the locking mechanism of the wing joints, and perfected the unison running of feather barbules that makes a wing both flexible and airtight. Today, when you see a sparrow take flight or a hawk soar, you are looking at a living, breathing dinosaur. The claws are still there, hidden under the feathers. The wishbone still flexes with every wing beat, and the same hip structure that carried T-Rex now carries a robin. It is not a metaphor. A bird is the exact final draft of a dinosaur's 4 million year experiment with gravity.